This podcast is produced by OnPod, a video content studio near you. Hi everyone, welcome to the podcast. Today I'm with Julien Leblanc. Thanks for coming, Julien.
Mon plaisir. Pleasure being here today.
It's funny, for a long time I didn't know you were French. Well, I knew because of your name, but your English is so good. So
oh well, merci. It's French acadien. So my friends that are listening, I can appreciate. I joke if I speak in French in Quebec, people answer me in English. Yeah. And if I speak English, I butcher that as well. So I really have no language, Jeremy.
That's good. So let's jump right into it. What does being a relentless optimist mean to you in business and in life?
Well, that's a big question.
I know,
right?
Right?
That's a big question. Well, I suppose if it's on my LinkedIn profile, I better be able to defend it.
It is.
Look, I think before I even try to define those two words, it all starts with, are you fueled with purpose as a leader?
Mm-hmm. You have a plan.
You have a plan? Do you have your why, as Simon Sinek would say? And what I would say is, I was summarizing with someone the other day. They said, what business are you really in, Julian? And I said, kind of paused and I said, I'm in the confidence business. I help leaders be more confident.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm absolutely obsessed with this because I know there's a big difference between being arrogant, where you lose respect for the process, or not being confident. And that's hard to do business with someone that you can tell that, can't even look at you in the eyes, or they're struggling with their words. Maybe they didn't put in the work. They don't have a purpose. So they're a bit lost. So ultimately for me is, I've got purpose in life. I want to help literally 18 million people be more confident. Because I was doing the math and I said, hey, how would I help 10% of the workforce in North America if there's 180 million people working?
Yeah.
So whether it's using a podcast like this, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's keynotes, whether it's workshops. So ultimately, I want to help 18 million people over the next decade.
Which is very optimistic.
Why not, right?
Good. Yeah, why not?
Right? But the purpose is there.
Yeah.
And because I am so in love, as my wife would say, probably obsessed with the science of success that it takes to be confident, it's pretty easy to be relentless when you believe in something and you really, get energy from it. And ultimately, I'm choosing to go high sometimes when the rest of the world goes low. So I'll call that optimism. And I know that a lot of people say, well, hope is not a strategy, or being a Pollyanna is not a great thing. I always say I'm an optimist grounded in reality. So I'm also, as a sports guy, you lose the match. If I used to play tennis and you lose 6-0, 6-0, you still got to look in the mirror. You can be an optimist, but it's okay. This is not working, Jeremy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
So ultimately, I would start with purpose. And then I would say, because I'm so fueled with purpose, I'm just relentless and I'm just constantly optimistically charging at helping these 18 million people over the next decade. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense, certainly in business, that, what I've learned recently is that you just need to keep moving the needle forward, right? So the relentless and the, pushing forward, it's like you don't need to do everything today, but if today you do a little small thing and tomorrow and the day after, at the end of the year, you'll have something, right?
Well, let's build a bridge between the two. I saw an interesting article the other day. It was Daniel Pink, that I love following on LinkedIn, and he was sharing that, look, it's good to have a plan. Obviously, you want to kind of know where you're going. No different than with your business, Jeremy. You've got a vision. You were just sharing with me how you want to build studios in Toronto and keep growing. And at the end of the day, you cannot control the future. What you can control is the daily actions.
Yeah.
So it's that 1% better every day showing up. And I always say consistency over motivation. So that to me is what relentless means, is you wake up in the morning, you focus on what you can control, you go at it hard towards a vision. And you know what's funny? That vision is going to change 10 times without you realizing.
For sure. So, mine changed I don't know, 3 weeks ago.
But that's a cool thing. That's not a bad thing.
No, it's great. Yeah. I recently got a business coach, and I found that, he was telling me, he's like, it's great because sometimes he talks to people and stuff is just not moving. He's like, okay, we got to do this week, but it's not necessarily moving. And I think it's because sometimes they're too much in their business, they're doing too much, right? You become that, that business person that does everything, which is really bad. So I think, for me, it's since I try to be more out of the business and my studios are self-serve, so I'm not always in the studio. Right. It's really good because I can work on that little thing that keeps moving the business forward. Going back to a little bit of stuff that you did in the past, you've started, over 10 companies. What drives you to keep building?
So it's interesting. I mean, I always knew I was an entrepreneur because I was the kid. Like, I'm sure you've got a story. We're in grade 7. Hey, I'm going to get 10 lawns this summer. And then I'll hire kids and I'll subcontract because I was the only kid probably that was comfortable in my friends talking to the adults. So I started at a very early age of, I like solving problems. I like being of service. I like being busy. And I suppose making a few bucks when you're 13 years old doesn't hurt. So ultimately today, if I were to look at, if you said, hey, Julien, let's start a business together, the first thing I would look at is, does this project give me energy? Meaning, hey, I'm fired up about this. Then it's about who you surround yourself with. So the beauty with all these projects, it was always for people I would love being around with, whether we made money or not. Like, we were having fun. We were having fun. And then ultimately, as you know, you take learnings from each project because some of them played out really well and some of them not so well. I mean, that's the reality of entrepreneur shit, as I love to call it. Replace the P with the T. And so I'm always chasing energy. And I always say, I probably will be an entrepreneur at 90 years old. Someone will approach me with an idea and I'll be like, you know what? I can't do it, but I'm betting on you. I'm all in when it comes to entrepreneurship. Yeah.
And so did you have a few jobs that you weren't an entrepreneur? You were working for someone at the beginning?
So what's interesting is, funny enough, we all have a different path to get to where we are. After university, I was a tennis pro teaching in Florida, which, funny enough, you are an entrepreneur because you're only as good as how many lessons you deliver a day. And it's hard to work on your business because you're the business ultimately. Started there, but then had an amazing corporate career with McCain Foods and PepsiCo. I always took pride, though, I must say, in being what I call an intrapreneur. So I might have been playing with the McCain family's money, but I always viewed it from the standpoint of, if I'm responsible for this piece of the business, I'm going to treat that like it's my business.
That's good.
So in 2012, when I decided to take the leap and open Blueprint, my consultancy and training and development firm, I feel like I had been an entrepreneur from the age of 13. And the good news is I had so many good leaders around me at PepsiCo and McCain that gave me that extra confidence. There's the word confidence to say, you know what? It's time to spread my wings and kind of have impact in a different way.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like for me, I always wanted to be like a freelancer in video production at first, right? And kind of doing that entrepreneur kind of line of work. But I think I worked at CBC for a long time, and then I worked at Ingenium, so for museums, so I was full time and all that stuff. And it took, a big change for me to jump into entrepreneur. Is like my job was cut, to me and a friend. So they cut video production, and, it was a sad day, right? Horrible day. And then, the next day I literally told to my buddy that was kind of an entrepreneur guy. And I was like, Antoine, like, I'm gonna start a business. And he like took out like all the paperwork for like the stuff that you needed to start a business and just never look back. Right. But it took that push. And I think from, my parents came from, working for Bell, working for the government. So I think in my head, I was always programmed to think, the pension, all this stuff, right? You kind of think about these like as soon as you're getting out of the high school, right? So it's interesting to see that, sometimes you like these big problems, like losing your job is going to cause something, but for me, it was such a good thing.
Well, that's interesting. So what advice would you give to someone? Because we might have listeners that have that burning desire to go solve a problem and be an entrepreneur, and they've got beautiful golden handcuffs on, i.e. pension. So what advice would you tell someone that was caught in between and they didn't have a forced choice, because meaning their jobs don't exist?
I think, for me, in a sense, I was lucky, right? The job was cut. I had my condo to pay. So, and I didn't have a lot of money saved, even though like there's a severance. So it kind of helps you, right? But it's very hard to start a business while you're working because you're not fully into it. For me, I was like, I had to do it. It had to work. And it's funny because my friend told me, he's like, Jared, like, what do you need to like live, right? How much money do you need to live? At that point, it was like maybe $2,000, right? So it's not a lot. I was just looking at my debt, like what I need to pay my condo. And then I looked at it and I was like, and he's like, how much job is this? It's like 2 jobs. Right? It's 2 days of shooting with some editing, like $1,000.
So he broke it down for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, that's really easy. When you think about it, like in a month, in 30 days, working 2 days, it's not so bad, right? So if you look at it like that, it's it's very, very easy if you can look at how many jobs you need, right? Obviously, entrepreneur, you need that fire in you to do it. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Maybe they can. I don't know, but I think it's that, and it's also like not necessarily to quit your job, but maybe you take 6 months off or something, like to a year off or something. But if you need to do it, you will do it. If you don't need to do it and you have a 100K in your account, and like you're maybe just gonna relax there, right? So
it's a good way to put it. It's, this notion of burning the bridge. At one point, it's like, I have no choice versus, yeah, I'm passionate about this. And as soon as you hit a rough patch, which you will, because as you know, that's why I call it entrepreneur shit. If you don't love it, that messy middle will eat you up. Yeah. And it's always unexpected. It's always like, oh, I thought the money was going to be in the bank, and suddenly, no, there's some funding that's been cut, and
you have to pay your HST. There's $10,000 that's just going.
We love you, government, and as an entrepreneur, it's not easy. It is
no, it's not easy. You have to charge more because you're paying more. Well, you see the money. If I pay myself from the corporation, if I want to pay myself $6,000, the corporation needs to pay $9,000, because taxes and all this stuff. So sometimes you don't realize all this. So as much as you want to make money, more you make, more you pay, in a sense, right?
Well, I'll tell you the one thing. I don't know if you've read the book E-Myth.
Yeah.
Michael Gerber.
Yeah, I love
That's the book. Anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, I tell them, look, read this book, On the Business, in the Business. Yeah. And the second piece of advice I give people is that first year, enjoy it. It's a magical place to be an entrepreneur in year one, where everything's fun. It's not serious. And then year 2 and 3, though, you better buckle down, because if I find year 2 and 3 is what separates people. If you can get to that year 5, you'll never look back. I really believe that, because then you've got scalability, you've got the right models. And so forth.
And I think it depends on your business. Like, I was lucky in the sense that when I started my video business, my friend was lending me his camera, right? And I was charging that to the client as a rental. So I was making even more money, which was great, right? But it's also talking about E-Myth, and that's a great book. And sometimes you have to look at, a lot of people become entrepreneur and build themselves, and as I did, a job, right? Yeah. So they have $100K a year job that they've built, but that's it, right? It's not scalable. And I was like this for a long time, for 5-6 years, even more. And now slowly, I'm getting out of that, and I'm building a business, a company, something that's scalable. But that's very hard. Like, that step is like, it's insane.
Who would love listening to this segment, and I know he will, is your coach, because I know your coach, and I'll give him a shameless plug. I mean, Jean-Luc is a phenomenal coach. Yeah. He's seen the highs and lows. Mm-hmm. He's made tough decisions that most entrepreneurs just don't have the courage to do. He's true to himself. Like, he's living life on his terms. Yeah. And if you listen to Jean-Luc, to your point, that's exactly, I know how you would challenge you. Is this a business, or is this you that's basically, a prisoner of your business? And that's no fun at that point. That's no fun.
I have a friend that started a co-working space with 3 other guys, and he was, I kind of looked at him, and at first he's a great sales guy, and it seems like it was a great project, and it was so cool. And then I kind of told him, like, I think you build yourself a job. Right. So now he's working there full time. He saw it as like, I'm an entrepreneur, but then he was just working in the co-working space just full time, and not really doing what he was meant to do, which is like selling and all that stuff. Like, he didn't really want to do all the client relationship stuff, maybe. Like, that's not for him, So it was interesting to see that sometimes.
Well, and I would argue sometimes you need to test where you're at. Mm-hmm. So I'm now Blueprint 13 years, and my test is very simple. If I decide to take 3 months off, is there still good revenue coming in? Are we still having impact? Are we in front of clients? And the good news is, yes, I've built a world-class team. Mm-hmm. It takes years. So I'm the bonus to the business. Not if I'm not there, we have nothing going on. We're still having impact every day, and we're helping people towards that 18 million number that I was sharing.
Yeah. And so how do you define success as an entrepreneur? Where's that success coming in?
Well, I think I always have. So I'm very big. Maybe I just turned 50 this year. Maybe I'm more reflective than ever. So I'm a runner.
You only look 40.
That's good. That's good. Well, we share the same barber here, so whatever. It's working for us. So there you go. Look, I think so. I'm a runner, and I joke that running is based on my meditation. Whether I run in the morning or I run at night. And I must say that I think about that question quite a bit. What is success? And you know what's interesting is it never goes back to money, ever.
Mm.
Now, success for me is having impact. Am I helping others, in my case, be more confident? Because I know if I help you, you're going to tell a friend that's going to tell a friend that's going to want our team.
100%.
And ultimately, you'll find a way to make money on it. So for me, success is that you're living and breathing your why or your purpose statement, right? And I'll share with you, it was in 2008, and I still have it, literally a piece of paper that I wrote. I was at this program called the Corporate Athlete in Orlando, Florida. And we had to write, I don't know if you've gone through this exercise, Jeremy, where you write basically whether it's what would you want on your tombstone or,
a little bit like, how do you call this? Like when somebody does a speech at your...
Yeah, eulogy.
Yeah,
right? What would you
So
want people to say about you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I wrote that.
And it's a bit morbid and all this, but I'll tell you, it's a powerful exercise where I landed, and I still, well, I'm going to reference it right now. I want to be a dealer of hope to as many people as possible while being the best father, husband, and global citizen. So here's what's happened over the years. Let's bring it back to success. There's a year I might say, man, I was a really good dad this year. But was I 100% there for my wife the way I should have been emotionally, for instance? If she was going through, ups and downs at work. Or maybe I was a great husband, but maybe I was too short with my kids. Or maybe I was really a good global citizen. Like I was adding value, working. But if you would have talked to my kids, they would have been like, yeah, but Papa's traveling a lot these days. So what this does is success from time to time is, do I feel good about the interplay between all three?
Yeah.
You see? So for me, notice I'm not talking money. Money's just a scorecard.
Yeah.
If it's a goal you have. Yeah. And every business I've been involved in, realizing that sometimes when you raise money, you have shareholders. So you have to deliver an expectation. But I always try to steer them away from the, EBITDA and profitability. I'd rather focus on, hey, do we have the right margin? Do we have the right investment? Are we living and breathing what we told people we were going to do? Because if we do that, shareholders will be happy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the most impactful book you've read recently?
So that's an easy one for me. And I'm going to go so old school on this. So Jeremy, I read, that is my healthy obsession in life. I read probably a book to a book and a half per year. And I've been doing this since 2004. And you know what's interesting? The most impactful book, I've read it at least 5 times, and I read it again 3 months ago, is the first book that I read of all these books. And it's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know, have you read it?
Yeah. The
So-
audiobook.
So for me, I say what's old is new again. And I think it's probably more important than ever with everything going on with AI. And I think people are a bit scared of the future we're entering.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
It's like scary, but cool. But
weird vibe, huh?
Yesterday, my friends, like, because I pay for ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So I
It's so good, right? Like,
oh my God. It's
Game
like I've been doing like SOPs, and like I just talk to him for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, boop, and then it just does it. And it's like, it's so amazing. And my friend's like, ask him about you, And it was like, and it told me like everything about myself, where I'm going with my business, what are my skills, It's like really interesting. But obviously, when you've talked to ChatGPT for like a year or
your
whatever,
persona is built up.
then he's building it, and like it's it's really crazy. Like when you think about it.
If you think about it, so if you're someone that's a bit scared of technology, like am I going to get replaced by the robots or AI? If you're someone that's bullish on technology, you might focus too much on technology and forget the human side. What I liked about Think and Grow Rich is studying all these successful entrepreneurs back in the day. There was commonalities, right? Standing in the future, your quality of your relationships, how you talk to yourself, your inner voice, the people you spend time with, how you influence, how you sell. So for me, funny enough, I'll go old school on that. And I read it probably every couple of years. So you said recently, I read it first time in 2004, and recently is still...
Yeah, I read it a long time ago. One of the first, like, kind of when I got into business, my buddy Martin, they were doing like a book club and reading all these types of books, and so he gave me a bunch of books. And I think one of the first ones that I read was like The Compound Effect.
Oh, so good.
It was just amazing. And recently I read one that was very interesting. I didn't like how it was necessarily written, like the voice of it, but it was really, really, it's a really good book. It's what is it called? It's about giving, The Go-Giver.
Oh, yes.
The Go-Giver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great, like,
Yes.
it's just a simple idea
Yes.
of like, you just give more and you'll
But
get
when you
something.
say every book that I call it the science of success or
Yeah.
leadership, it's typically one concept and then it's storytelling around it with a couple of tools.
Mhm.
But sometimes, even if you just had the book at your house and you understood the concept, unconsciously, you're constantly, it's like when everybody read Start With Why, Simon Sinek. It was like, hey, always start with the why when you communicate. I'll tell you, you just triggered, as you were talking about this simplicity, I think the book I've gifted the most in the last 2 years, well, I don't think I know, it's Atomic Habits, James Clear.
I didn't read, like, I think I have it. I didn't read it.
Honestly, you're going to fly back home at one point or fly back to Asia. Read it, because it doesn't matter, or my words. We can have the best plan, the best team, all of it's great. If you don't have the right habits, it falls apart. And it's just a reminder of being 1% better every day. And he talks about strategies to make sure that you start off the day right, you finish off the day. I think it's the thing. They don't teach this stuff in school or even at work, but it's so critical.
It's so true, because I find that, you know, I was talking to a big entrepreneur, Angela Goren. She runs, I think, the company Tap and Go. It's a new company. Very interesting. And like, she's really busy and she's taking time to respond to me and help me. And it's so great. And like this one day, she's like, you know, once every 2 weeks, she'll respond and she's like, oh, it's my Friday. Like, I'm basically just going through all my emails. And so it's a habit, right? Every Friday or second Friday, she responds to all the past messages that she missed, right? And it's such a good thing, because sometimes I try to do everything every day. And so responding to all my LinkedIn message every day, which is too much, because some days you miss it. So if you can move that around, maybe you save a little bit of time, and then every day you do something that moves the business, right?
Well, look, I'll tell you, I had an amazing aha moment. It was, again, so simple, because aha moments typically, as you know, after you're like, why was I not doing that? I was having a coaching conversation with my coach a couple of years ago, and I was sharing my priorities for the year. I said, so here are my big priorities. And I love what he asked me next. And I knew exactly where he was going. I was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble here. He said, Julien, these are your priorities. Fantastic. Let's open your calendar right now. And I knew where he was going. There was nothing scheduled in there. So it's not going to happen. So that's the one thing I got really good at. Like, if you want to work on the business, every Friday, there probably should be an hour to block on that. Every 2 weeks, hey, 30 minutes have been blocked to respond to emails that you might have just not had the chance to get to. And so my advice to you, the advice to myself, the advice to anybody listening is, if it's not scheduled, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, for me, as soon as I travel to like build a new studio, that's where everything goes.
Oh, because you go all in.
Well, because I'm basically working nonstop to get this done. So like the computer is a bit more on the side. But then when I'm home, since it's all self-serve, when I'm home, I'm just certainly right now I'm in Thailand. So, you know, all day I'm working the morning and I'm responding to emails from last night, and I have nobody bugging me all day.
So good. And then at night, thing is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be really bad, like a 12-hour thing, but then I do my meetings at night, which is morning here, and it works extremely well.
That's very good. Well, look, I think what's interesting though is, as much as you might say, oh, like when I do a studio, I'm all in. What a beautiful thing that you can actually dig in and buckle down on your craft. I think that's where most of us don't do a good job, is we're constantly a bit on text, a bit on email, trying to work. There is a time to just do deep work. It's like, look, I got to get the studio out, and for the next week, that's all I'm doing. I think there's something amazing with that. So good on you for having that ability to focus.
Yeah, it's getting there. Now it's like, now we're working on getting other people to build it. Right? Like it's just,
look at you working on the business. Now you can farm it out. You got the blueprint.
Exactly. Slowly farming that out. What's your approach to turning an idea into a commercial success?
So what I've realized is you're only as good as the people in your network, the people in your inner circle. There was I think it was Jim Rohn, one of the motivational speakers in the 50s, that said, I can tell you your net worth based on the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you'll be in the average. I can tell you your physical fitness and your health, because what he was saying is super interesting is you will have one or two people that are inspirational. I just want to be like them. And then one or two people you'll bring along because you don't want to be like the fifth all the time in your inner circle. So now what I've realized is I'm actually not good from 0 to 1. So like my brother, for instance, phenomenal entrepreneur. We come up with an idea. He knows how to do that. Where I'm good is probably, let's call it, if you had gate 0 to 1 is just starting. 1 to 2 is it's starting to make sense. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, it's where, okay, you've got revenue. I don't know. You've got 100,000 now. You want to get to $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm really good in that middle phase. I get bored at the end.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough, honestly, to do the first phase. So now if I get excited with an idea, I know who in my circle is good there to say, hey, Jeremy, would you be excited to partner here? You do this. Once you get that, I'll help you raise money. I'll help you put the board in place. And then we go from there. So I would say what's happened is I know my place in the gates, if you want. And so long answer, but really it's just, I turn to my inner circle and my network when I have ideas now.
Yeah, but that's interesting what you said about the 5 people and like, okay, if you have, because I have a friend that's going to push me to go to the gym, There
you go.
But if I don't have that friend, then maybe I don't go to the gym.
Sure.
Right? So this idea is
well,
very
think of your life over time. If you were in the phase, you were in a party phase, let's say. Well, guess what? If you're hanging out with people that drink every Thursday, Friday, you're going to do the same. But if suddenly, if your inner circle, everybody's, I don't know, drinking non-alcoholic beer, you're not going to be the guy that's pounding or the girl that's pounding 12 beers.
No.
And I think about that from a health. I think about family. I think about travel. If your whole inner circle is traveling, guess what?
Yeah, you're traveling.
You're going to travel.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware of who do I spend the most time with. Notice I'm saying the most time because I'm very loyal to my friends that, I don't know, I might have met at one stage in my life that we might be in different places, but I can't wait to see them and go see a baseball game or play hockey. And from a business context, though, I know who makes me a better leader, and that's who I choose to spend the most time with. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Man, I'm liking your questions. I think they've been inspired by maybe a little bit of ChatGPT meets Jeremy. Or
for sure. Yeah.
Good. It's a yes and I like that.
ChatGPT is so helpful.
So good.
Like, I mean, it's mind blowing. The other day I asked him to do a 3D model of a cover for a camera. And he's gonna do the model ready for 3D printing with the logo, and it's like, well, thanks. Like that.
So do you have a name? Because I noticed you referenced to ChatGPT as he for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you have a name? Is it Claude? Is it?
No. I just for now it's just ChatGPT. But I thought about calling him Bob.
Okay, I think there's something there, right?
There's something there.
Especially if you talk to it in your car, everybody's like, "Who's that?" Well, I'm just talking to Bob.
Yeah. No, I just find it interesting how you can just put your when you let's say you would call your assistant at work and say like, oh, can you do this and this and this?
Yes.
Now you just text ChatGPT and you just put that into a folder, put that into a file, or make a document, and then you send that to your assistant, and then it's so much more organized.
Well, you know what my pitch has been, because there's still people that are reluctant, and understandably so. I understand security and all of it. Great, and I know that you probably know me more than you wish you knew me, but because you've helped with my podcast and you've helped edit some stuff and you've seen it, you've probably heard me talk about a coach in her pocket. Because the one thing I always tell people is, if I told you had a mentor, a coach, a productivity hack in your pocket, of course you'd want to unleash that thing. So like, who doesn't want that? What do we complain about? All the things that ChatGPT can actually help us do. Oh, I got to write a memo. I got to write an email.
Exactly.
So I view it as it's now become my starting coach. It gets me going, and then I can put my own personal touch and based on the situation and so forth.
Yeah, and if you have a big document or a lot of ideas that you want to put together, and it's like it's just gonna draft it for you really, really quickly, too quick. And that's helpful. And even like you have marketing ideas, any ideas you put in there, and it might like look at the issues in it and stuff like that. It's just really, it's really intelligent when you think about it.
And you know what else I remind people? Today's the dumbest it'll ever be.
Yeah.
Think about it. Every half a second, it's getting so much smarter. So yeah. Anyways, that could be a podcast in itself on how to unleash AI.
For sure. Yeah. So to wrap up, how do you help team really unlock true potential?
Yeah.
Team or people?
Yeah. I think, look, again, I'm going to combine my sports background and my business background and my passion for the arts. My wife works at the National Arts Center, so I've been around the arts. Yeah, I've been
that's
around
cool.
the arts a long time. I guess over 15 years now. It all starts with self-awareness. That's why I'm a big believer in assessments, 360 feedbacks. Because if I think I'm confident or if I think I'm a good leader, but I don't have something to look at, it's pretty hard to go next level.
Yeah.
Starts with self-awareness. Then you better have purpose. You could start with purpose first and then do self-awareness, but I'm just going to kind of lay out a few ingredients. So let's say you've got purpose. You know exactly what you want out of life. You're self-aware. Then I would say have processes that you trust.
Yeah.
Right? Because
huge. Yeah.
Right? I always say fall in love with the process. Don't get married to the outcome. The outcome will come once you've worked your process.
Yeah. It's a
Then,
huge thing. Yeah.
Then I would look at preparation. Is your team ready for the big challenge? So if it was a sports team, were you ready for the big game? If you were a sales team, were you ready for the pitch? Did you practice? And you know what's interesting? I think, and I know there's a lot of books that have been written about it recently, and I think it's a great thing. I look at Brene Brown, for instance, the work that she's doing on vulnerability. I think having humility, vulnerability, respect for the process, and knowing that you don't need to always be right, that there's someone smarter than you in the room, there's someone stronger than you, that's part of high performance. So yes, it's a lot of ingredients, but purpose, process, preparation, practice, all wrapped into humility, vulnerability, and then surround yourself with great people.
Yeah.
And look in the mirror from time to time. That's why I think having KPIs, having metrics, doing that check-in, that assessment, whether it's personality assessments, whether it's team assessments, and then just go. And then at the end of the day, I think that will help you be a relentless optimist. See how I did that? Full circle in order to perform.
Yeah.
And that's how I would answer that. And I think that would be the same whether you're an individual driving or you're trying to get a team. Now, of course, if you've got a team, then you got to get good at, dealing with conflict, trust, psychological safety. I mean, those are all other ingredients that come into play.
Yeah. Big ingredients.
Big ingredients. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think if the foundation is there, because what builds trust? Building trust is winning together, learning together. Notice I'm not saying losing, because as long as you do something with the result,
you're winning.
That builds trust. Psychological safety is knowing that you and I are connected to this greater mission, that we're on our purpose, whatever that is. And if we fail, we have the humility to say, look, we didn't deserve the result, or we weren't ready for it. We didn't work hard enough. And then you go back to your process and practice and preparation.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, thank you for joining us.
I got to ask you one question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So you're on a trajectory right now. Like obviously every time I've talked to you, like it's going. It's hockey stick.
It's changing. It's going. Yeah.
You've got a crystal ball. We're in 5 years. Describe where you think this is all going. Because I'm always interested in people's, let's call it standing in the future.
Yeah.
What does this all look like?
So in 5 years is very long, I think. So we'll be moving very fast by then. So 5 years, we have, I've been mindset on 30 studios across North America, US, Canada, even Asia, Europe, maybe. So 30 studios, I think it's even small for 5 years. So I think it's going to be more than 30. And then I think we'll get an acquisition of $40 million and we'll sell. That's where I see it going. But yeah, we'll have like licensed podcast studios all across. And then, I was thinking of like, my big dream was like, maybe we could sell this to Spotify.
I love it.
And Spotify Spotify podcast studios all across the world. And then just this expansion. And then, maybe we'll sell, maybe not. But this is, at least if we get a proposed acquisition, that would be really a good goal, I think.
So there's clarity right now. I love it. No, it's clear.
Yeah,
and I can tell you've got a great coach to help you keep accountable and on track. And he understands scaling.
For sure.
You are building something amazing. I mean, I've been the beneficiary of your studios. It's unbelievable. You think of modern day storytelling.
Yeah.
This is what this is. It gives us the tool and you become a thought leader, an authority. You get to interview people. And I think ultimately, if you can do it in a way that's systemized, you talk about process, then a Spotify type of company says, oh, I'm not buying Jeremy. The risk is that you're too tied to this.
Yeah, exactly.
what they're buying is 30 studios, well-oiled machine with the possibility of having 3,000 studios.
Exactly. A system that can just replicate and replicate and replicate. And if we can open 30 in 5 years, that means that in 10 years they can open, 150, right? Like, because the system's going to be there. Hopefully.
And then finally, I was pretty vulnerable because I never thought about it. It's funny. I call myself a relentless optimist and I hadn't really defended it. What would you call yourself? Because I mean, that's a big vision. So you got to have some kind of mindset to get there.
My father-in-law, we went to Petra, Petra. And,
wow.
And
I'd love to.
So we're doing Petra. I lived in Jordan for 2 years. So we're doing Petra and I've been there so many times. So there's 800 steps to go up to the monastery, like the kind of a bigger one. And he's older, like not in the best shape of his life, right? And the steps are all like crooked, and basically every time we're like, I'm like, oh, I think it's just after this. I think we're just done after this corner. Oh no, okay, sorry. I think it's the next one. It's like 5 minutes, I promise. It's like very long, like 800 steps.
And it's probably hot.
Oh, it's boiling hot. We're in the desert, So he kept saying that I'm optimiste à l'infini.
Oh, wow. Infinite
optimist.
I like that. Infinite. Forget relentless. Infinite optimist.
Yeah. So I'd say something like that because so I do dance competition and in Lindy Hop, which is swing.
Yes.
And basically, I would tell my dance partner sometimes and I'd be like, oh, we're definitely going to be winning, but in deep down, like, and then she gets mad because she's like, we're not good enough,
Yes.
And I'm like, but I don't really care.
Right.
I don't care if I win.
It's the mindset.
But like, we're going to win, And then we actually won a competition in New York City.
Wow.
First place.
Wow.
And it was and then she was actually in the bathroom is on the big boat there, the museum, the Intrepid.
Oh, yeah.
So it was on there. And then she was actually.
What a setting, huh? Yeah.
I know. And it was amazing. And she was actually at the bathrooms, like when they announced the winner. So I was alone getting my trophy,
No
and then I told her
way.
like we won. She's like, this is impossible. Are you kidding? Yeah. So it's a really funny story. But when we came back, I was like, we could go to Europe, we could win some competition, but I'm just optimistic. I just say it. I just like, I'm gonna do it. But at the end, I don't care if I win or lose, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna do it and I'll get there. So for me, my mindset is always, I can do it. It doesn't matter if I fail or anything.
What people forget, and you hear this as I get older and you talk to people that have been successful and they're in their 80s and 90s, everybody says the same thing. Enjoy the journey because it's not the destination. Even that 40 million you mentioned, that would just be a benchmark you've had impact.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's funny, we referenced a couple of books. One of my favorite books was Simon Sinek's book called Infinite Game. So as much as Start With Why is the one that got... And Infinite Game was interesting because basically we're both playing an infinite game.
Yeah.
It never ends.
No.
And especially the way we're wired. I guarantee you'll sell that. You'll take a year and enjoy
travel, right?
And I guarantee you'll see a problem in your trip. You'll be like, I'm solving that. And then you'll just take all the learnings from it. You'll probably take every single penny you've made or most of it and pour it back.
Yeah.
So we are playing an infinite game. And I think having an infinite mindset, fueled with positivity.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. The rest is just bonus. Like, I think we forget that sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's true. You think like, oh, I'm going to sell my business. I'm going to finish here. But then like Jean-Luc, like same thing, right? He sold and he probably traveled and he's like, he told me like, yeah, it gets kind of long, like it's, I got to do something else. So now he's business coach and stuff like that. And I think it's just.
And by the way, this 100%. He's a young man. It'll lead to sometime he'll see an idea and the energy, he won't be able to stop himself. He'll be like, no, I'm in again.
No,
because he's got so much to offer. So now what I do like though, and that's why I have the ultimate respect for someone like Jean-Luc, is you have to recognize where you're at in your journey. And I think, look, we're talking from a place of privilege here because I realize that not everybody has the opportunity to do that. Meaning, hey, I got to put money or food on the table. So I got to do jobs even if they're not great.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you can self-actualize and get to that place that we're talking about, why would you ever stop? You would stop to breathe along the way and enjoy the journey.
You'd slow down, but you'd keep going.
You would not stop. At 80, you'll be running a nonprofit because you've got all this knowledge that some of the world needs from you.
Yeah. It's so true.
What a great conversation.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to part 2 one day. How about that?
Part 2 it is.
All right.
All right,
Very good.
thanks.
Thank you.